Santa's Secret Alien Alliance Exposed. Chapter 1. The Christmas Conspiracy Theory. The newsroom smelled like burnt coffee and deadline desperation sweat. I was halfway through a stale donut when my editor, a man whose eyebrows could double as snow shovels, slapped a folder on my desk. "Pack a bag," he said. "North Pole, elves, aliens, you're going." I blinked. "Excuse me?" He leaned in, lowering his voice as if the vending machine might be bugged. "There's a conspiracy theory floating around. Santa's elves aren't elves at all. They're extraterrestrials from some frozen planet hiding out at the Pole. Advanced alien tech explains everything. Flying reindeer, toys that never break, Santa delivering billions of gifts in one night. It's all spaceman logistics, not magic." I laughed, because what else do you do when your boss tells you to investigate Christmas? But he wasn't joking. The folder contained grainy photos of glowing-eyed elves, blurry sleigh contrails, and one particularly suspicious reindeer with what looked like a thruster under its ribcage. "Get me proof," he said, "or at least a story that'll make people click." And just like that, I was booked on a flight to the Arctic Circle, armed with nothing but thermal socks, a notebook, and the sinking realization that my career had officially jumped the candy cane shark. Chapter 2. Arrival at the Pole. The flight north was less business class and more metal tube with frostbite. By the time we landed, the runway looked like it had been carved by a drunk walrus, and the pilot muttered something about, "Hope the dog sled picks you up." Sure enough, a dog sled appeared. Red lacquer, chrome runners, and 8 pure white Siberian huskies that looked suspiciously happy. Their teeth shimmered like polished pearls, and I swear one of them winked at me. The driver was an elf, or at least something wearing an elf costume. He was short, yes, but his eyes glowed faintly blue, and his ears twitched like satellite dishes searching for a signal. He introduced himself as Larry, not exactly a name you'd find in a Scandinavian baby book. "Welcome to the Pole," he said, voice buzzing like a radio tuned between stations. "Santa's expecting you. Please keep your hands inside the sled at all times. The dogs are temperamental." We shot across the ice at speeds that would make NASCAR blush. The aurora overhead pulsed in rhythm, almost like a landing strip of alien neon. When we finally arrived, I expected a cozy log cabin. Instead, I found a sprawling compound of candy cane towers and gingerbread bunkers, humming with energy. The air smelled faintly of cotton candy and peppermint. "This is the workshop," Larry said proudly, "where Christmas magic meets interstellar logistics." I scribbled furiously in my notebook. Magic, logistics, aliens. My editor was going to love this, or at least he'd stop assigning me stories about municipal parking ordinances. Chapter 3. The Workshop of Wonders. Forget hammers and nails. The North Pole. Workshop was less carpentry shed, more alien tech lab disguised with candy cane wallpaper. Conveyor belts floated in midair, humming with anti-gravity fields. Teddy bears assembled themselves with robotic precision, their button eyes glowing faintly before dimming to child-safe mode. A Nerf blaster fired plasma bolts across the room, thankfully set to stun. I scribbled notes furiously. "This isn't toy-making," I muttered. "It's interstellar R&D. Larry, my elf guide, grinned, though his teeth looked suspiciously crystalline. "We brought the tech from our homeworld. Kids think it's magic." I perked up at the word homeworld. "So, Larry, where are you really from?" "Don't tell me Lapland." Larry ginned. "Lapland? Please. We're from Enceladus, Saturn's icy moon. Beautiful place if you like frozen oceans and geysers that shoot water vapor into space like champagne corks." "Enceladus, isn't that just a ball of ice?" I asked. "That's the cover story." Beneath the crust, there's a vast ocean warmed by tidal forces. We built our cities there, domes of crystal and light. Imagine skyscrapers carved from glaciers, powered by geyser steam. The surface looks barren, but underneath, it's a winter wonderland with better plumbing. I kept scribbling. So why come to Earth? Why Santa? We needed a cover. Humans expect elves at Christmas, not aliens with glowing eyes. Santa offered us sanctuary centuries ago. In exchange, we gave him our tech, wormhole shortcuts, propulsion thrusters, cookie-to-energy conversion. It was a fair trade. He gets to be the face of joy, we get plausible deniability. So the whole Christmas operation is basically an interstellar refugee program, I asked. Exactly. We hide in plain sight, spread joy, and keep the wormholes stable. Besides, the North Pole is a vacation paradise compared to where we come from, and Earth has better cookies. Our homeworld's version tastes like frozen salt water. How do you do it? The demand to produce toys must be tremendous. Adults call it Christmas spirit. We call it supply chain management. He gestured toward a row of dolls. Each one giggled in perfect quantum synchronization, their laughter echoing like a chorus of tiny alien alarms. Efficiency, Larry explained. Every toy is coded with joy algorithms. It's scalable happiness. I wandered deeper, past gingerbread walls that pulsed with energy. A giant orb hovered in the center of the room, projecting holograms of Earth's continents. Delivery routes were plotted in glowing lines, wormholes marked with candy cane icons. Santa's delivery system, Larry said proudly. We've optimized it for one-night global coverage. Wormholes, time dilation, cloaked ship, the usual. I stared at the orb, realizing my editor hadn't sent me to cover a holiday myth. He'd sent me to uncover the galaxy's most cheerful cover-up. Chapter 4. The Sleigh That Wasn't. The stables were a facade. Rows of antlered reindeer stood in neat formation, their noses polished, their hooves gleaming. It looked like the postcard version of Christmas. But Larry leaned in, antenna ears twitching, and whispered the truth. Reindeer are branding, he said flatly. A marketing tool. Humans love the image of a jolly man flying through the night sky with animals. It's quaint. It sells the myth. But the real deliveries? They're made with this. He pressed a panel hidden in the candy cane wall. The floor rumbled and a massive hangar door slid open. Inside, bathed in peppermint-colored light, was a ship that made my jaw drop. Sleek, silver, and humming with energy, it looked like a cross between a stealth bomber and a Christmas ornament. The hyperdrive sleigh, Larry announced proudly. Cloaked, faster than light, wormhole-capable. Reindeer are just the cover story. This is how Santa actually makes his rounds. I scribbled furiously. So, the reindeer don't fly at all? Larry chuckled. They prance for parades. They pose for photos. They keep the myth alive. But when the clock strikes midnight, Santa boards this ship. Hyperdrive engages cloak activates. He can deliver to billions of homes in a single night without anyone seeing a thing. I stared at the vessel, its hull shimmering with cloaking fields. The aurora overhead pulsed in rhythm, as if the sky itself was complicit in the cover-up. So the sleigh is a spaceship, I muttered. Not just a spaceship, Larry corrected. It's the most advanced delivery system in the galaxy, powered by cookies, cooled by milk, stabilized by belief. The reindeer are just the story we tell so humans don't panic. I scribbled one last note. Santa's sleigh equals cloaked hyperdrive starship, disguised as folklore. And for the first time, I realized Christmas wasn't just a holiday. It was the galaxy's most successful PR campaign. Can I meet the big man now? I asked. Larry smiled. Sure, Follow me. Chapter 5. The Santa Situation. Santa wasn't hard to spot. He was exactly as advertised: red suit, white beard, twinkle in the eye. But up close he radiated something more. An aura of interstellar authority, like a diplomat who'd negotiated treaties with wormhole cartels. We sat down in his office, which smelled faintly of gingerbread and hot chocolate. I asked the obvious question: how do you eat millions of cookies and drink millions of glasses of milk in one night without exploding? Santa chuckled, belly shaking like a reactor core. Ah, the cookie question. Everyone asks. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. It's not digestion. It's conversion. The elves outfitted my ship centuries ago with a quantum metabolic recycler. Every cookie I put into it is instantly broken down into pure energy, fueling the sleigh's wormhole. Jumps milk, that's coolant for the system. Without it, the recycler overheats. I blinked. So, cookies are basically rocket fuel. Precisely, Santa said, eyes twinkling. Chocolate chip is the most efficient. Oatmeal raisin is acceptable. Gingerbread, high sugar, low thrust. I keep those for nostalgia. He tapped his belly. This isn't cookie and milk fat. It's meat and potatoes for dinner. By dawn, every cookie has been burned into my ship's propulsion. That's why I never gain weight, despite the rumors. I scribbled furiously in my notebook. Millions of cookies weren't indulgence. They were an energy source. Besides, Santa added with a wink, it keeps the kids happy. They think I'm indulging. Really, I'm refueling. Chapter 6. The Scoop. Santa leaned back in his chair, the twinkle in his eye now more like the flicker of a reactor core. I had my recorder running, my pen scratching furiously, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was interviewing the most powerful being in the galaxy, who just happened to wear a fuzzy red suit. So let me get this straight, I said. The elves are aliens, the reindeer are props, and you're basically a walking holiday myth. Why keep it all a secret? Santa chuckled, a sound like sleigh bells mixed with static. Because secrecy is the gift wrap of civilization. If people knew the truth, they'd panic. Governments would weaponize joy algorithms, corporations would patent wormhole shortcuts, and suddenly, Christmas would be less about wonder, more about quarterly earnings. I raised an eyebrow. So you're saying Christmas is interstellar diplomacy? Exactly, Santa said, tapping his nose. Every gift is a treaty. Every stocking is a peace accord. The elves keep their cover, humanity gets its holiday, and I get to maintain balance between worlds. It's the most efficient soft power operation in the universe. I leaned forward. And the cookies? Santa grinned. Ah, yes. Cookies are more than fuel. They're a signal. A child leaves a cookie, and I know they believe. Belief generates resonance. Resonance stabilizes wormholes. Without cookies, the whole system collapses. Milk is just coolant, but cookies are faith crystallized in sugar. I scribbled furiously. So, you're powered by belief. Belief, sugar, and butter, Santa said. The holy trinity of propulsion. I sat back, stunned. My editor had sent me chasing a conspiracy theory, and I'd found the cosmic linchpin of holiday joy. Santa leaned closer, lowering his voice. You'll write your article. People will laugh. Call it satire. But deep down, they'll wonder. And that's all we need. Wonder keeps the wormholes open. Chapter 7. The Lists. Good, naughty, and classified. I thought the good list and naughty list were just holiday folklore, a moral carrot and stick for kids hopped up on sugar. But in Santa's office, stacked beside the glowing orb of sleigh routes, I found the truth. The lists were alien surveillance documents. Santa tapped the holographic console, and two shimmering grids appeared. Good list, he said, pointing to one side. Naughty list, pointing to the other. I leaned closer. Each name pulsed with data streams, behavioral metrics, joy resonance scores, cookie leaving frequency, and something labeled quantum kindness index. "What am I looking at?" I asked. Santa grinned. "The elves monitor humanity through resonance sensors. Every act of kindness generates positive energy, stabilizing wormholes. Every act of cruelty destabilizes them. The good list isn't about morality. It's about logistics. Too many naughty acts and the wormholes collapse. Too many good acts and they expand. Balance is everything." I scribbled furiously. "So the naughty list is basically a danger report." "Exactly," Santa said. "Naughty children aren't punished with coal. Coal is symbolic. In reality, their resonance destabilizes the delivery grid. We mark them to monitor potential wormhole disruptions." "The good list. Those kids are stabilizers. Their belief and kindness keep the system humming." I blinked. "So you're telling me Christmas cheer is literally the glue holding interstellar travel together?" Santa chuckled. "Belief, kindness, and cookies. Without them, the ship crashes somewhere over Saskatchewan." He leaned back, eyes twinkling. "That's why we keep the lists secret. Humanity thinks it's about morality. Really, it's about physics. But don't tell anyone. Let them think coal is punishment. It's simpler that way." I stared at the holograms, realizing the good and naughty lists weren't just holiday myths. They were the cosmic balance sheets of joy and entropy. And Santa, jolly old Saint Nick, was the accountant of the universe. Chapter 8. Chimneys and Fireproof Boots. I'd always wondered how Santa managed the chimney routine. Physics, architecture, and common sense all screamed impossible. Yet here he was, explaining it with the casual confidence of a man who'd been breaking and entering for centuries. "Chimneys," Santa said, adjusting his belt, "are not obstacles. They're gateways. The elves engineered a nanophase displacement field that activates whenever I step near brickwork. The chimney becomes a temporary portal, calibrated to deposit me neatly in the living room. No soot, no mess." I scribbled furiously. "So, you don't actually squeeze down the chimney?" Santa chuckled. "Good heavens, no. I'm not a contortionist. The chimney is just a convenient cultural symbol. People expect me to use it, so we coded the wormhole to trigger their tradition meets technology." I glanced at his boots, massive, glossy, and faintly humming. "And the fire? What if someone leaves the fireplace lit?" Santa grinned, tapping his footwear. "Ah, the fireproof boots. Alien polymer, resistant to temperatures hotter than a supernova. I could tap dance on lava if I wanted, but mostly they keep me from singeing my toes when people forget to douse the logs." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Truth is, the boots do more than resist fire. They anchor me in the wormhole field. Without them, I'd risk materializing halfway through a brick wall. Not a good look for Christmas morning." I scribbled another note. "Santa's boots equals interstellar safety gear disguised as fashion." Santa sat back, satisfied. "So yes, chimneys are wormholes, boots are fireproof stabilizers, and the whole thing is less magic than logistics. But don't tell anyone. Let them think I'm squeezing through brickwork. It's funnier that way." I stared at him, realizing that every childhood myth had a sci-fi explanation. And somehow, that made it even more magical. Chapter 9. Mrs. Santa Claus. I'd expected Mrs. Claus to be a kindly grandmother type, knitting sweaters and baking bread. Instead, I found her in a laboratory that smelled faintly of electricity and ionized plasma. She wore an apron, yes, but over what looked suspiciously like a flight suit. "Welcome," she said, adjusting her glasses, which flickered with holographic readouts. "I hear you've been asking questions." I scribbled furiously. So, you're part of the operation too? Mrs. Claus chuckled. Part of it? I run half of it. Santa handles diplomacy and deliveries. I handle production, tech maintenance, and morale. Without me, Santa's ship would stall halfway through Siberia. She gestured to a rack of glowing cookie tins. I'm the one who calibrates the quantum metabolic recycler. Too many chocolate chips, and Santa overshoots Paris. Too much gingerbread, and he lands in the wrong century. Balance is everything. I blinked. So you're basically the chief engineer? Chief engineer, chief strategist, chief baker, she said proudly. The elves may be aliens, but they still need leadership, and someone has to keep Santa from eating experimental cookies meant for propulsion testing. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. The truth is, the good and naughty lists, I designed the algorithms, the wormhole stabilizers. My idea, the fireproof boots. My prototype Santa gets the headlines, but I keep the universe from collapsing every December. I scribbled another note. Mrs. Claus equals unsung galactic genius, disguised as homemaker. She smiled warmly. And that's how it should be. Let the world think I'm baking pies. Meanwhile, I'm baking reality itself into stability. I left the lab stunned. Santa might be the face of Christmas, but Mrs. Claus was the backbone, the quiet architect of joy, wormholes, and cookie-powered propulsion. Chapter 10. Epilogue in the Newsroom. Back in the newsroom, the fluorescent lights buzzed like tired spaceship thrusters. My editor leaned over my desk, scanning the draft with his usual mix of skepticism and indigestion. So let me get this straight, he said. Elves are aliens, reindeer are extras, Santa's powered by cookies, Mrs. Claus is basically a galactic engineer, and chimneys are wormholes? I nodded, sliding the recorder across the desk. Every word straight from the Claus Consortium. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Nobody's going to believe this. Exactly, I said, which means everyone will read it. He chuckled despite himself. Fine, we'll run it as satire. Clicks are clicks. But if the elves sue, you're on your own. I leaned back, watching the newsroom hum with ordinary stories, politics, weather, municipal parking ordinances. My story was different. It was absurd, cosmic, and possibly the most important scoop in human history. Because somewhere at the top of the world, a jolly man in a red suit was balancing wormholes with cookies. His wife was calibrating joy algorithms, and a squadron of alien elves was keeping the universe stitched together with toys and laughter. And all I could think was, next December I'd leave out extra chocolate chip cookies. Not for tradition, for propulsion. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.